Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I am Hamza Idris. The media, which constitutionally is regarded as the fourth estate of the realm, plays a key role in stabilizing the polity, promote peace and harmony in the society, and hold leadership accountable to the people. But to function effectively, the media, like other professional fields of human endeavor, also has established ethics guiding the conduct and functions of its practitioners and their respective organizations. One of such key ethical standards is upholding the truth through balanced and fair journalism. However, the media has been in most cases found wanting in keeping faith with these essentials, especially with the advent of citizen journalism and unregulated social media space, which is largely aiding unethical practices. Today, questionable elements in society take advantage of the porous social media space to set news agenda for conventional media outputs unconsciously to suit their predetermined narratives, which oftentimes result in unfair media trials and tribulations, in addition to denting the image of innocent citizens and public office holders, sometimes even leading to loss of jobs. It's against this backdrop, on Daily Politics Night, we beam our searchlight on our constituency, the media, with a view to finding a balance between professional and responsible journalism and the impact of highly commercialized and infiltrated media landscape. And joining us for the conversation are two professionals: a one-time commissioner for information in Adamawa State, Honorable Ahmed Sajo, and Malam Elias Ugadu, a media consultant and a columnist. Of course, Ahmed Sajo is here with us in the studio, while Gadu joins us virtually. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's good to be here to discuss our profession.
Good. And we'll take a short break, and when we return, the conversation commences. Viewers, and of course our guest here, we are starting with our tidbits. Officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, are considering the possibility of obtaining an arrest warrant against the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk. The news was learned last night. The development, it was gathered from incapable sources, followed the former minister's absence at the headquarters of the anti-graft agency located at Jabi, Abuja, on Wednesday. Umar Farouk, who was billed to face the crack detective of the EFCC around 10 a.m. over alleged fraud, was being probed over the sum of 37.17 billion naira that was allegedly laundered under her watch through a contractor, James Okwete. Meanwhile, report in the media indicates that, citing health challenges, the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadia Umar Farouk, has officially written to the EFCC seeking an extension of the deadline to meet with its operatives over an ongoing probe allegedly laundered through her tenure in office through a contractor, as we mentioned earlier, James Okwete. And elsewhere, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited says there is no imminent increase in the cost of premium motor spirit, PMS, commonly known as petrol. Some Nigerians had expressed fear following the revelation by oil marketers that the cost of petrol should be around 1,200 naira if it was not being subsidized. But a statement by its Chief Corporate Communications Officer, Oluwapemi Sonoye, on Wednesday, NNPC called on Nigerians to disregard unfounded rumors on increase in the pump of price of petroleum. Yes, Mr. Sajo, you have seen our tidbits. We always start with our tidbits, the big stories of today. Most public office holders, during time of accountability, they give themselves sickness of sorts. Sadia, I don't know, it may be true, it may not be true, but going by records, almost every official who is asked to face a panel, they will say they are sick. What is your take on our excuse?
There are many that did not feign any sickness. They just went and they were cleared and they left.
Why did they take that decision to just go without claiming that they were sick?
No, because you see, I don't know why people, any day, whatever we're doing, even as we're sitting with you here, this is a day that we will have to give account, if not here, in the hereafter. So whatever you do, you will give an account one day. So from the very day you entered office, I was a commissioner. The day I got there, I told them that, look, as I'm pulling this seat to sit on it, I'm conscious of the fact that somebody left the seat, and that I will leave this seat for somebody else to come and sit on it. Nothing is permanent. So once you have a beginning of a tenure, you must know that there is going to be an end of the tenure.
Have you been invited after you left office to explain how you spend some money?
It will be difficult.
Why?
Because first and foremost, at least I tried as much as possible to protect my integrity. And secondly, I was very innovative. There was no allocation from state. I was working mostly with international donors. And
as Commissioner for Information?
Yes.
You mean there was no budget to your office? It wasn't much?
There was no budget. There was a budget, but the budget, I had no capital expenditure. And recurrent expenditure is about what you spend day to day. Very easy to trace. What you are paid salaries, I cannot appropriate it.
Can you describe that as maybe not juicy ministry?
No. It was a juicy ministry. It's about service. It's not about what you get. I have never but the last intervention I had on NTA, somebody told me point blank that how can you work in government and you don't have money? I said, look, I have what is more than money. He said, what is it? I said, peace of mind. You have to consider, what do you want?
So what is getting over public officials? Now look at the figures they quoted.
No. I think the last time I was here, I said it, that this media trial is not in our interest. Even the security agencies must be very careful. All these media trials, I would have loved a situation where the figures and everything that happens should be taken from submissions in the court of law. There's no need you announce that somebody has stolen money so that he can face a lot of embarrassment in the media, and at the end of the day he is released in the court, and then they tell you that there was no due diligence in the prosecution or in the investigation. Meanwhile, you have already destroyed the person's name. I think we should stop media trials and begin to do proper trials. We're beginning to become, a country of criminals of crime without criminals. Every day they announce so much humongous amounts of money were stolen, but how many people have been arrested and locked up? And if you really want to know that, there is a gap, just get scammed. And you get all the details, including account numbers and the rest, phone numbers that are used to scam you, and you take it to the security agencies. You will never hear the case. You will never see it in the media. You will never see it in court. The people will just walk about free. But you have provided facts. This is the account number through which I was scammed. This is the money that was taken to that account number. That account number supposedly is supposed to have, BVN, linked to the national identification process. These are mere facts, but you hardly get to know how many people have been prosecuted. I've been involved in this, about 2 or 3 cases like that were just ignored by the security agents. But I just look at it. When you mention big money, I said it before and I'm saying it again. The more we are sensationalizing this kind of issues in our public space, the more we are eroding confidence in the governance structure within the general public.
Some believe the politicians or public office holders, they are not helping matters. Maybe by the time the invitation, is extended to them, they don't honor it, unless when they see it in the media. So the security operatives, prop panels and all that, they now use that actually to ensure that they honor their invitations.
I don't know. Well, if the leadership does not have faith and confidence in the security agencies, how do they expect the ordinary citizens to have faith and confidence in the system?
So we need to overhaul the whole process.
We need to overhaul the whole. We need to actually, insist that our leadership must have faith in the system that gives them legitimacy to lead us.
And why are they not honoring? Like Sadia now, since 2 weeks ago, they announced that she should go. She didn't go. Now today, because she has seen that virtually all media houses are calling her out, giving credence to some of the allegations against her. Instead of going now, she says she's sick.
Well, let's pray that, like our legal system says, a person is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law.
All right,
let's give her that benefit and give everybody that is before being investigated the benefit of being innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
Okay, you have seen our second tidbit, which is on your experts saying under normal circumstances, petrol should sell at 1,200 per liter. How devastated?
No, I don't think.
When you heard of it?
I don't think. You see, sometimes, scaremongering has become part of our culture. You raise a sensational story and you scare people up because, of course, again, it's tied to what I told you earlier. We have all lost, confidence in ourselves. We're losing confidence in ourselves. We're losing confidence in our country. We're losing confidence in our systems. So people who really, want to scare us have become, scaremongers. And, they frighten you. You get frightened. I am not frightened. I believe that whatever it is, we must wait for official positions. But you see, the indices within our political setup, within our socio-political and economic setup, indicates that things are not getting better. In the country, yes. When inflation is not galloping. We used to have galloping inflation. Now what we have is flying inflation. Inflation is at
another lexicon to the terminologies.
At a jet speed. Inflation is moving at a jet speed, no longer galloping. People have to be frightened. When the value of the naira is depreciating daily, not that government is not doing enough, but you see, the system itself, is configured in such a way that we're having serious problems within our socio-economic and political space. So people have now taken advantage of that to scare us. And, we're easily scared because this is a country where you believe one thing, you can believe anything. Yeah. Even the figures they are bandying about people stealing these figures, ordinarily in normal circumstances, you will ask yourself, what will somebody do with 30 billion?
Exactly. Yeah, it's very sad. Yes.
But this is Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Maybe we should have a take from our Zoom guest, Ilyasu Galu. Welcome to the program, Mala Ilyasu.
And thank you for having me on.
Yes, we read 2 tidbits while we were trying to actually connect with you. The first one was on invitation by the EFCC extended to former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. After back and forth, she finally issued a statement today that she was sick. She wanted extension of the invitation. Could that be true? Even though you're not a soothsayer, yes.
Well, for one thing, I do not know her health status. I cannot comment categorically on it. And for another, it's a moving story. We've had that before from officials who have been invited by EFCC and investigative authorities to be able to find out accusations or infractions leveled against them. So I cannot make a categorical statement whether she is sick or not. And but what I would say is that if officials who have held public offices and are being accused of by authorities of certain things, they should be ready to make themselves available. It's not a matter of playing hide and seek. She will be able to come clean and say, yes, yeah, I'm here, I want to answer your questions, and answer it, because from from all indications and from what we've read, she has been in the news for the past couple of weeks, and she even issued a statement when it first broke that yes, she was willing to come out and defend herself, and she issued a public statement that was carried across the media space. So if truly she's innocent and she wants to defend herself, it's an opportunity to clear it once and for all, to let the whole public know that what is being said about her is not true. I think this is an opportunity for her to be able to say yes or no. But for her to wait until the authorities took those steps and then to claim that she was not well or she was sick or something, I think as a public official you should be able to come to answer what is demanded of you. I think, but I think along the line she will eventually make herself available. So let's give her the benefit of the doubt. She's after all, I mean, she's innocent until proven guilty. So I think that's where we should take our perspectives from.
All right. And our second tidbit yesterday, the NNPC, said Nigerians should stop panic buying, should disabuse their minds about claim by experts in the oil and gas industry that under normal circumstances, petrol should sell at 1,200 to a liter. Gladly, you were in that sector before. Who is actually telling the truth? Is it the experts and players in the petrol sector, or the NNPC, which is telling Nigerians to disabuse their minds, ignore the claim?
Yeah, but let's cast our mind back to some weeks. In fact, some weeks before the end of last year, there was a report or a statement issued from the World Bank representative here in Nigeria, a man named Alex something or so, in which he said that fuel should be selling at 750 naira per liter, and that there was evidence from his own perspective and the World Bank's own perspective that there was some residual subsidies being paid by the government, because at the rate in which the fuel was selling, it was unrealistic and it's not in conformity with the market forces. So I would like to believe that the World Bank official was probably knew his onions, and he was not just making a statement from his head. He must have done quite a thorough analysis and assessment of the situation, the pricing and the subsidy, if ever there was something like that. And even before that, there were also statements from experts within the economic space that yes, the rate at which the oil was the price of the oil was not realistic in terms of market forces, and that it should go beyond or above what we are buying. So, well, if the marketers are saying the same thing now, or at least going above these prices that have been quoted, then there must be some kind of something about it that we should be able to be we should know. And that mere statement from NNPC without figures, without corresponding analysis given about the situation, does not cannot really satisfy us. Because even in the past, we had situations where NNPC will come out and tell you, look, these speculations are not right, and then a couple of days or 2 or 3 days or weeks after that, we see increase in the prices. So as long as market forces are controlling, or rather are determining the prices, we cannot say for sure that yes, this is what the government is saying is right, or what the NNPC is saying is right, or what marketers are saying are right, because between them, the truth is somewhere there, and we must be able to know what it is. Because right now, as my colleague has said, there's quite a lot of uncertainty in the economy, and we must be able to know what is happening before it gets loose.
Thank you very much. And I'm narrowing down the conversation, to our topic of discussion today, which is fake news and disinformation in a commercialized media space. From what we have seen now, from what you said, from what Ilyas Ugadu said, you can now see clearly issue of disinformation and even fake news at the highest official quarters. Why are we not getting it right as far as media management is concerned in Nigeria?
Yeah, I think there are first there are two strands to media. There is the politics of the media and there is the economics of the media. Anybody that tells you that a publisher or an owner of a media organization establishes a media for just an altruist motive without any other
stream
undertone, without actually trying to achieve a particular political goal or an economic goal, is telling you a lie, because the media is also business. You understand? So that we must establish, that there is the politics of it and there is the economics of it. Now, in the politics of it, all over the world, media houses take positions. If you go to the US, for example, during the last election, CNN was overtly Democrat. Fox News is overtly Republican. There's no hiding. And the same thing in the 2023 elections, we know that there were media organizations that were outrightly pro-government, and there were some that were outrightly opposition. So in terms of the politics of it, they take positions, regarding where they stand within the political space.
And they can also disinform people in order to achieve...
That affects the quality of the information they dish out. Either the one they give out or the one they refuse to give out. That's one. Two, media, like every other business, is a business. We keep priding ourselves, the fourth estate of the rain. We got this fourth estate later. At the initial stage, the fourth estate was the church. What was religion? It was only when religion became too contentious and was not affecting everybody in the same manner and the religious leaders, to a large extent, lost a lot of their moral standing. And till today, you can see it, especially for a country like Nigeria, where there are prophecies that never come to pass. They were like political statements. Now, the media became the conscience of society. That's why they became the fourth estate. And at that point in time, it was assumed that the media will say the truth regardless of whose ox is God. But we know that the truth is affected by the politics of it and is affected by the economics of it. Now, we have three strands in the media presently. There is the formal media, this conventional media, like the one we are discussing here today. There is the new media based on the internet. And this new media is divided into two. We have new media that is highly regulated. It's as organized as the conventional media. But we also have the disorganized aspect, the citizen journalism, the one-man media. So now, what happens? The economy of it is that at the end of the day, if you are a print media, your circulation will determine your advert rates. And so you have to look for the drivers of circulation. If you are a broadcast media, your audience analysis will determine your advert rate. Your reach, how far you are seen, how far you are heard, will determine your advert rate. Which means you will do everything to get as much audience as possible. If you are an online media, the traffic to your site will determine your advert rate. So you do everything that will give you a lot of traffic.
And I'll ask you this question after I have the take of...
So in the process, sensational news drive traffic.
Okay, and there is actually a follow-up question to this, which I will ask after I get the take of Ilyasu Gabi. Yes, Ilyasu, it is appearing more difficult for the mainstream media or legacy media to catch up with the incursion of unregulated or social media. Where is the mainstream media getting it wrong?
is that the media has two streams, of responsibility on it. The first stream is responsibility to the realm in which it operates. In other words, the country or the space it operates. It must be responsible. It must be responsible because it has to go by the laws. Because the media is a nexus of a lot of things in the country: politics, economics, security, all kinds of things. And the media, in that respect, must be very, very, very responsible, very circumspect. That is not to say that the media should be gagged or should be stopped from reporting as a principal professional outfit. But it must also not go overboard, because if you go overboard, you are also denying yourself as a media outfit, the responsibility to be fair and to be just, and also to operate, the freedom to operate. Then secondly, the one stream also that the media has responsibility to is the stream of professionalism within itself. Now, in the old media, the mainstream media, these were strictly, at least to a very large extent, enforced. You would not that's why you have, that's why you have,
yeah, with you, yeah, go ahead.
That's why you have, streams. I mean, you have measures taken to ensure that, when you bring news to your media outfit, it goes through a lot of, checks until it is cleared for publishing. And then by the time it's published, the media outfit stands by it because it's been professionally checked from beginning right to the time it's going to press. So at that point, the media, in that respect, has already discharged its responsibility. Then it's also, as I said again, the other responsibility is to the realm, to the state where it operates. And apart from the fact that the media itself must check itself, it must also work and operate within the laws of the land, within the laws of this thing. So there is no space around the world in which media operates without regulations. So either regulations from within itself, that's the media outfit, and within the laws of the land.
Okay.
Then what we have now, as observed, is the new media. The new media is composed of mostly of the internet-based, platforms. Of course, even at that, they also have, strict regulations regarding what kind of information they should purvey. Some people just wake up, the citizen journalism kind of people wake up because they have a phone with a very good, camera that can record or take still photographs or record videos and all that, and then send it out. Now, in most cases, if, for instance, somebody takes a story from as far a place as Sokoto and then sends it through, the people who run that platform would not, for instance, know the peculiarities of the area from which this story is coming. So they just take it and put it on. And at the end of the day, you find that mostly that's what happens with the new media. And a lot of the problems we have today in terms of, fake news and, dangerous news comes from this sort of media. Because in the other one, that the mainstream media, it is very difficult for you to have such things. And when you have them, they are properly corrected. And then the damage is at least controlled before it becomes, out of hand. But in the case of the new media, most times you find that the damage has already been done. And before it can be corrected, it has done quite a lot of harm. And that is why it has become, and the problem for this new media is that it is difficult to regulate. Because, as my colleague said, there is, the contradiction or the temptation for economic, reasons, because you push out, you form this platform because you want to make money. And if you have the opportunity of getting news or getting posts that will, at least exacerbate or increase your circulation or your traffic, fine. But the problem is that because it comes from many sources, forces unverified sources. You sometimes and you find it difficult to be able to say whether this is true or not. And that is where the danger is. And that's why there's been calls for regulation of this new media, and that the regulation we have on them is not enough. Now, that's something that the media practitioners themselves and the proprietors should sit down and look at, because before it makes more damage. Because in most cases, sometimes some of these news posts have created more problems than solutions.
All right, thank you very much, Male Ilyasu. We'll go on a short break. Viewers, don't go away. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. If you are just joining, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. Our topic of discussion today is fake news and disinformation in a commercialized media space. And we have joining us virtually Ilyasu Gadu, a media consultant and a columnist. And in the studio is Ahmed Sajo, former Commissioner for Information in Adamawa State. Welcome back to the program.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, you have heard what Ilyasu Gadu said. But the fear now is the mainstream media actually wait for the citizen journalists to set the agenda for them.
No, I don't think so. I think the mistake people are making is that whereas the mainstream media, both online and other conventional media, they still operate within the confines of the professional ethics, which means they still have guardrails. They still have gatekeepers.
Are you sure they still have enough gatekeepers? For instance, yesterday, I'm a sergeant. Just yesterday,
yes.
You know, there was this report on social media that former South Africa's president, Thabo Mbeki, died. And here in Nigeria, quite a number of legacy media, I don't want to mention them, they carried this story. They posted it on their website. Do they really have those gatekeepers?
This is what I'm trying to say. Because of the politics of it and because of the economics of it, there is an attempt not to be left behind. So after a story has broken out, there are still some doubts expressed. It's not as immediately as it is done within the social media space. They wait, and sometimes they feel that, due diligence has been done before they carry it. But to a large extent, the mainstream media still operates with a structure. We are in Trust TV today and Trust papers. Don't you have an editor-in-chief? You do. Don't you have a deputy editor-in-chief? Don't you have an editor for the daily, an editor for the weekly, an editor for the Sunday paper? You still have. So the mainstream media, they still have structures. The online media.
But how are they checkmating the influence of purveyors of the fake news? How are they checking them?
Some of these news are not necessarily fake in the eyes of the operators of the mainstream media.
But they disinform.
They just disinform.
Which is very dangerous to the receiver.
And like I told you, there are politics of it and there are the economics of it. There are times when, people, I'm sorry to say, owners of media have political interest on a particular matter, and they influence those matters to be thrown onto the public via via their media outfits. And there are also, times when we all know what is happening. There are media owners in this country, for example, who will employ a young journalist, give him an ID card and call it a meal ticket, and not put him on salary. They do it. It's criminal, we know, but it happens in a country like Nigeria. And I know, in my media management, both as Chief Press Secretary and as a Commissioner for Information, I know of colleagues who are on this kind of criminal employment. Take your ID card, use it as a meal ticket. Go and look for what to eat. You will report. In most cases, you will discover that sensational news comes from this crop of journalists. You will discover that blackmail news comes from this crop of journalists. You will discover that fake news comes from this crop of journalists. It's not sometimes because they want to be. But if you are told that hold this ID card as your meal ticket, go and look for food with it. Any story that can put something into that meal ticket, you will take it. So if we do not on our own also, introspect and insist that any media owner who exploits our colleagues, gives them, a job without salary, that media owner should be sanctioned. We have a few people here at Trust TV who were working, with a television station before, who were not paid for about 4 to 6 months. Some of them had to leave and come here, not because they didn't want their job where they were, but the jobs were not paying. So if you have a media organization that does not pay its workers, staff, and if you want to utilize that platform to throw out news that may not be entirely true, and you just invite that person, and he is in need, he wants to put food on the table in his house, and you give him something, he will assume that, your news is worth his own platform.
Very sad. Ilyas Ugadu, governments, corporate organizations, and politicians, they have now found, a new trend whereby they can sell their ideas to gullible citizens using social media warriors, using some legacy media by actually paying for what they want. And before you know, they have influenced the attitude, beliefs of the gullible public, as I mentioned. What do you think should be done to actually save the public? Because they are at the receiving end now.
And let me say it quite honestly and with a sense of integrity. Before the media can play the role, can be respectful for the role that it's supposed to play in a society, it must first of all check itself. It must be professional. It must not give room for quacks. It must not allow non-professional or even professional media people who are running those media outforms to behave as if they have no responsibility. Because the public looks out to us. The public, the government, everybody looks out to us as people who not just provide the news, but also create the agenda for national development. And if we are not reliable, as my colleague over was just said, if you employ a journalist and you provide him with an ID card, merely an ID card, and say, go and sell yourself, you are doing damage to the reputation of the profession. And by doing that, you are making that profession to be regarded as an unreliable profession. You could see that other professions strictly, run according to the rails, to the rule of engagement. But in most cases, we have several, steps of things that we need to do. First of all, we should not just provide platform for people to practice, but we should ensure that they do it in a professional way. When you write a story, your story must be thoroughly checked. It must be thoroughly analyzed. It must be something that will be worth reading. But you don't just throw out a story just because you want to influence political ideas, or you want to make money. If you are doing that, you are a mercenary journalist, and this is not what we hope to have in this country. We need to have people who can come out and say, I'm a journalist, and people will respect them. When they write, they say, yes, this person has written something worth reading. And the public out there would now look to us as it is doing in other parts of the world. You can have your biases, but you must also be professional in what you are doing. That is the principal thing that we owe the public and we owe ourselves. But if we do not do that, we cannot get the requisite respect that we should have. And that is why other people look at us as people who are not serious, and they just look at us people who can be hired at any given time and be fired. But when we have thoroughbred professionals running the industry and making sure that everybody goes along the line, then we can take our place in the realm of things in the country. So that's why, for instance, I would welcome that the journey has to start by even the people who run the papers themselves, the publishers, the editors, and all that. Once we have that, then we can begin to moving on the social media where some of these infractions are at the highest, and then begin to say, look, this sort of news. And if you look at the social media, really, some of the news that make fake media, that make for disinformation, are easily traceable. You can see that this thing is traceable. This thing is really about disinformation, because there are certain professional ethics or certain professional requirements that these things do not observe, and you can be able to weed them out. But we have to start from ourselves first before we can get the respect of the public out there, and before we can get the respect of the government to be able to say, yes, these guys are really professional in what they're doing. That's my take on it. So perhaps maybe then the government will be able to take us serious as partners, and we can say, look at what happens, for instance, in the UK and the US, and other realms. Journalists out there are respected. When they come out with an opinion, the political guys, the politicians, are afraid to confront them, because they know that these guys do a thorough job in their stories, do a thorough job in their column writings, do a thorough job in the news they carry, because they themselves start with themselves before the public out there begin to assess them. So that's what we should work towards. Not because you want to make money, you throw out any story that you think that will give you traffic or something like that. We need to be able to make ourselves more professional and guide ourselves in a professional way.
Okay, thank you very much, Ilyasu. But how can we achieve that?
Well, I think we have to...
Especially the other aspect of remedying the damage done to the personality
first and foremost, we have to agree on the role of the media in our society.
What is the role of the media?
Is the media supposed to be a mirror of our society, or is it supposed to be an agenda setter? I'm sure the media does both. By reporting happenings within society, the media is trying to mirror the society and allow other people to see what society is all about from wherever they are. But the agenda setting function is where a lot of people, especially within the unregulated media, have taken advantage, because it takes, for example, a bad news out in the public for the agencies of government in particular to give out the correct news. That's agenda setting. You are suspecting that something is going to go wrong, and then you throw it out, and then the persons that are responsible now come out to say, no, it's not like that, it's like this. Now, if you had the correct version of events, why don't you put it in the public? So we need a lot more transparency in governance. It's very important. We need a lot more accountability on the part of the leaders. It's sad that it's only after the leaders have left office that we begin to probe how they run the system and whether they were right and where they were wrong. It shouldn't be like that. We should begin to question our leadership at the point at which they're in power, and we need to begin to add the totals, divide the sums, begin to understand. Now you just wake up one early morning and they tell you that the person had spent these billions on this activity. When he was spending the billions on the activity, perhaps it was reported, perhaps it was not reported, but you don't know. And it did not alarm you. Why will it alarm you after the person had left office? These are some of the things that we should begin to interrogate ourselves on. But most importantly, if we had a very credible conventional media, very credible, whether it is the conventional media in the old mold or the conventional media in the new mode. And I don't want to mention names, but there are some online media in this country that have contributed immensely to, the credibility of the system. And there are also, organizations. Dubawa, for example, it's a fact-checking system.
We also have all the platforms here in Daily Trust, our digital platform, our online platform. We also do fact-checking both online and on
this fact-checking
TV,
outlets could also help. But you that is handling the issue of fact-checking must yourself be credible. The issue is that if the fact-checker himself is questionable, the facts he is checking, will be subjective because of this lack of credibility. So the whole thing is we must earn the trust of the people. And you are Daily Trust.
Finally,
we have to earn the trust of the people.
Thank you very much.
And when you earn the trust of the people, you can easily, tell them that this is a lie and they will believe you.
Thank you. And Ilyasu, we want to round up with you. Finally, what should government do with social media influencers? There are many people, and you should say this in less than 1 minute. We have conducted a research in US, UK, and other places. They pay taxes, to various agencies. What should the government in Nigeria do with them? Because they are very powerful social media influencers, and they are being used.
I think with the government has not been quite forthcoming on regulating that sector, because it also finds it useful to be able to it's useful in influencing certain things, flying kites, and to be able to it creates some creative tension.
So what should they do? But finally, we have run out of time.
Allow that to happen, because at the end of the day, we'll be like the boy who cried wolf, and then when the real wolf came out, nobody was there to help him out. We should be able to say, yes, we need to have this, we need to sustain, we need to have it, but it must be run under professional guidelines, so as to be able to, provide us with the best that we can in terms of news coverage and professionalism in the society. The government has to come out with more.
Thank you.
And it has to
thank you very much, Ilyas Sugadu. I wish we have more time to discuss more on this very, very important topic. We'll have to have you some other time. And I'm Sergio. I wish you will give a final remarks, but we are short of time.
Just one bit.
Okay, I think we have run out of time.
We must control social media influence.
Thank you very much. I'm Sergio, former Commissioner of Information at Adamawa State. And I hope those that matter listen to all what we have said. And viewers, that's a wrap on today's package, which we hope you found informative and engaging. Be sure to join Daily Politics ERN live every weekday on our special package on Friday, during which we open our telephone line for you to comment on national issues. Keep it with us tomorrow. For now, bye-bye, and thank you for being there. I'm Hamza Idris.